So why is everyone still outside playing?
I wouldn't call this playing, Lily. This is a slugfest.
Slugfest? Melissa! Little fungus, I'm teaching you a lesson.
You don't scare me, so back off, tiny bullhead!
Melissa? You okay?
So what do you want?
Well, I don't know.
Then get your sorry Badinsky out of my face, you dweeby little geekosaurus!
Melissa, why are you acting this way?
Eat asphalt, dweeb!
Moon Podcast Escalation! Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan D. White.
My name is Chris Sims, and this is Sailor Business. It's the podcast where we sit down with a friend each and every week and watch an episode of the classic 1992 Sailor Moon anime and talk about just why it is that we love it so much. And I'm going to be honest with you right up front, Jordan.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 100% real.
Please.
I don't know if I've got a lot to say about this one.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't love this episode so much.
Do you not love this episode? Is it?
I do
But
not.
that's weird because you love Chibiusa so much.
Right.
She's your favorite character,
No.
and you love her.
No. If anything, as I said a million times, I
No.
love to hate her. And this is an episode that doesn't love to hate her. It just loves to love her. And I go, nope.
Yeah, but I mean, look, we'll get into this, but this is an episode that is largely free of all of our problems with Chibiusa. I mean, she's not like a jerk in this episode. She's perfectly fine
Perfectly
in this one.
boring.
And also kind of boring.
Yeah.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Yes. We have yet to introduce our guest for this episode, someone that I'm very excited to talk to. Vanessa Leslie is here. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Hi, great to be here.
Now, podcast listeners may already be familiar with you. You are the co-host of the show Script to Script, where you read a book, watch the movie, and then discuss the differences. Do I have that right?
Yes. And
Oh, that's awesome.
we've had some very interesting books. We just finished reading and watching Flowers in the Attic. I'll actually be recording that episode later tonight with my boyfriend. Lots of incest, which a little later in the season, you may run into those themes a little bit in Sailor Moon. So there you go.
Just a little
Just a
bit.
little.
There's some very minor subtextual undertones
A
later on
lot
in
worse
the season.
in Crystal if you ever get around to watching that. So they actually toned it
Is it
down.
really?
Yes.
See, okay, look. I do not know where to stand on Crystal at this point. We have been told so many different things since we completely gave up on it about 3 episodes in.
No, I get it. The problem is the first 2 seasons, there's none of the fun character development you get. You don't really get to know them that much. So you kind of don't feel like you should get as invested as you do in the original run. But 3rd season, they definitely start throwing in some of those fun moments that the characters have. Plus, you have the Otter Scouts coming in, which I love them. I'm wearing my Sailor Pluto shirt right now. So
Oh,
Are you a
that
Sailor
is an
Pluto
appropriate
fan?
shirt to wear for our
yes,
recordings
and
this week.
that's also why.
Oh, well, I look forward to talking about her next week.
Yes.
Jordan, what shirt are you wearing right now?
Just my Luna shirt, my Luna face shirt.
Okay, so both of you are wearing Sailor Moon themed shirts, and now I feel like the jerk. I'll be right back. I gotta get change.
What are you wearing?
My shirt has Firestorm on it, so I don't think he
Firestorm.
shows up in.
No, the DC
Yeah.
character. Come on.
Yeah, a great DC character. You know what? Way off track. Vanessa, that's the idea behind that podcast is really, really interesting to me, because if we were even slightly more disciplined, that is kind of something we would be doing with more regularity here on the show. I have absolutely fallen behind on keeping up with the manga. I need to sit down and just blow through it so that we can talk about the changes here on the show. But you know what? That's why we have guests.
You know what? If I could get through 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is one of the driest books I've ever read, then I think you can read the manga.
Look, I think, especially because I already enjoy the manga. So, but you mentioned in your initial email to us that this is a show that doesn't have a lot of episodes because it takes so much time. And I can imagine, like, if you're sitting down to read a novel, and then do you just watch, if you have something like, say, what is a frequently adapted Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet? Like, do you sit down and watch multiple adaptations, or you just go one at a time?
We haven't yet, but we want to read I Am Legend, because there was the one that Vincent Price was in, I believe, in like the 60s.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously the newer one, and then there's also
Omega Man.
Yes, that's what it was called. There's, a lot of the classics, Frankenstein, Dracula, like so many of those they've done a lot of takes on. And we know for some of those, Tarzan is another one they've done a lot. So we definitely want to do that, because even Flowers in the Attic, they did one in 2014 with Heather Graham. And it's like, yeah, but I think that one they maybe are a little closer to the book, which has a lot of the kind of the ick factor in it. So we didn't really feel like watching that.
Right after the last season of Hannibal aired, I loved it so much, and the next thing I did was read the book of Red Dragon, and then as soon as I finished Red Dragon, I watched the movie of Manhunter and the movie of Red Dragon. So within like the span of like 2 weeks, I had experienced that story in 4 different ways, and it was really interesting seeing the different ways that it was adapted.
And that is one we have on our list, and we do want to do that, because I've actually never seen Red Dragon, but I saw Manhunter. Mm-hmm. And my boyfriend, I think, hasn't seen Manhunter, but he has watched Red Dragon, so that would be a little different.
That's great. I do recommend it. Yeah, it's way fun.
I think the closest I've come to that is that every October I watch as many Dracula movies as I can. Well, I have also been writing comics about Dracula. So
Dracula I feel like Dracula, like, I'm sure there are some very, adaptations that actually try to tell the story, but I feel like so many Dracula stories would just probably be them going, yeah, I got it. I got Dracula. I don't need to read the book or do anything to do with that.
Well, look, this is something that I've talked about. I think I probably even talked about it on this show when we did Last Dracul, which is the most recent, quote, adaptation, unquote, of Dracula that I've watched. That's, I don't actually like the novel. The Bram Stoker novel of Dracula. I find all the people in that novel to be very insufferable. Like, I hate them. I think it's well written, and I enjoy the epistolary format. But the novel is kind of my least favorite part of Dracula. Whereas I love the Hammer movies, which start with Horror of Dracula, which is more or less an adaptation, and then just go completely bonkers in the next 7 sequels.
I've never seen those.
You should watch them. Okay, if you're gonna watch one, look, this is a mid-June recommendation for a Dracula movie for everybody. If you're gonna watch one, watch Taste the Blood of Dracula.
What?
Because
First of all, Blood of Dracula.
The title is amazing.
Yep.
And second of all, it's Dracula dealing with like just jerks, just a bunch of awful jerks who get Dracula over the course of the film.
Dracula, that is a fun term right there. You totally get what you're talking about, though, but I've never heard the term Dracula.
If you want to watch a terrible, awful adaptation of Dracula, I can't believe I'm talking about this, but back when I was at the radio station where I did all my radio shows, in the soundtrack section, there was a soundtrack for a movie, an Italian softcore porn called Vampiros Lesbos. And the soundtrack is amazing. And so at some point, the bunch of our radio people found out that it was on Netflix disc, DVD rental back then. And we went, let's watch it. And it is awful. It is terrible in all aspects. So but except for the music.
Is it about a bunch of vampires from the island of Lesbos? I'm assuming that's what it is.
So close. No, it's just a lesbian version of Dracula, basically. It's just a lady Dracula.
That is one of 2 lesbian versions of Dracula of which I am aware. One of which I own.
What's that one?
Well, it's called Lust for Dracula. It is a super low budget, softcore lesbian film. But the notable thing about it is that all of the parts are played by women, including the parts that are still written as male. So like Jonathan Harker is a woman and like Renfield is a woman.
Oh my god.
Which I think is very interesting. I have it just for the interesting, like the interest.
Oh, for the
that's
art.
all.
Yes, we understand.
For the art. So getting back, like, okay, look, that was Dracula Business, our third spin-off show.
Oh my god.
Apparently we are not the only podcast that has discussed doing a spin-off, like, multi-part in-depth breakdown of the Fast and Furious franchise, but we are not the ones who came up with the tagline, watching these movies a quarter hour at a time, which I'm very, like, I am jealous of that. But getting back to Sailor Moon, the nominal reason why we are here, with that being your background as far as podcasting, did you go back to the manga to prepare for this episode of Sailor Business, or did you just watch the show?
Watched. I've read some of the manga, but I don't know. You're saying, oh, I should just go down and read it. And I read all these other novels for my podcast, but for some reason, I just can't sit down to read manga. I haven't really been reading manga for years. Anime is mainly what I watch. And I don't know. Well, because like obviously the episode we're doing today is not in the manga at all. But the next one kind of touches on it a little bit, but obviously the majority of that episode is still filler.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, look, we'll get to it. So I guess that brings me to the more in-depth question, which is, what is your background with Sailor Moon? Because I think you have a really interesting story as far as your personal relationship to our Lord and Savior, Usagi Tsukino.
When I was about 12, I was sick home one day and flipping through the channels, and I landed on Toonami, and there was this animated show going on, and turns out it was Sailor Moon, and I remember which episode it was. It was the one in season 1 where she and her family go to the hot springs, and there's that lake demon that gets unleashed. So it was like a filler episode, but not quite as bad as some filler episodes were, which I think helped. And I told my twin about it, and she and I started watching it, and getting up early because we had 2 episodes on from 7 to 8 on Fox. We'd recorded on VHS tapes. Like I remember I printed out little chibi versions of the Scouts, and I glued it on the inside of my school folder so I could look at them because I was obsessed. And then luckily, like freshman year of high school, that's when they started the 3rd season. So then she and I would race home from school every day, record them, and watch those tapes over and over. And then after about sophomore year of high school, I kind of stopped caring about Sailor Moon. So a few years later, got our laptops for college, had the internet going, and we're like, hey, we should try to find the last season of Sailor Moon. And lo and behold, I discover this awesome website. Maybe you guys have heard of it. It's called YouTube. And that's how I found YouTube, was searching for Sailor Moon, and watched the 5th season finally. And then a few years after that, we got like podcasts started happening. And we're like, you know what? We like anime and manga. Maybe we should try to find something. So we found this podcast called Anime Pulse. That's a parent podcast, and then they have Manga Pulse and a couple other offshoots. And for $5 a month, you can become a premium subscriber, which allows you to sit in on the recordings with the hosts. So I paid the $5, and eventually I started talking to one of the hosts. We just kind of were exchanging messages for a while, and then eventually I flew out to meet him. And 6 years later, we have a house together and 2 dogs. So if it weren't for Sailor Moon, I wouldn't be with my boyfriend and 1,000 miles away from where I grew up.
Oh, that's a very sweet story. And in your email, you said if it wasn't for Sailor Moon, I wouldn't have found my non-creepy tuxedo.
He
mouse,
does throw roses at me randomly, but that's just how we roll.
Oh, I should start doing. Nobody tell Aiden, but I think I need to start doing that.
Agreed.
That would be the most expensive thing that I think I could do to make my girlfriend.
It's like she's doing the dishes, and all of a sudden you just throw up and be like, "Believe in yourself, you can wash that," and then just run away.
Oh no! I wash the dishes. That is a house rule. Vanessa, thank you so much for coming onto the show. That's a super awesome story. I'm really glad to have you, and I'm really glad that I'm glad that you liked Sailor Moon and that you got back into Sailor Moon and then immediately went to podcasts, because I feel like that is
how I found you guys was the Sailor Moon subreddit. You guys had just started. I think you were only like 7 or 8 episodes in, and someone mentioned, they're like, "Oh, you should try this podcast." I'm like, "A podcast dedicated to Sailor Moon?" Oh, and then I like run to the computer and get all that. And then lo and behold, like a year later, I am now on it.
That's awesome.
A podcast where 2 confused men bewilder their guest by arguing over whether crystals are, quote, real?
They're not.
Editor's note, there's a little sync issue, so the next couple minutes are going to sound a little weird.
Anyway.
So who's your favorite scout?
My favorite is Jupiter.
Okay, follow-up question. How tall are you?
I am 5'6".
There you go.
Yep.
And I have brown hair.
Out. Now, when you were younger, I guess getting into Sailor Moon at around 12, you may have been like a little too old to have that Sailor Moon friend group experience. But did you think of yourself as like, oh yeah, I'm a Jupiter?
No, it wasn't necessarily like identified. I just really like the character.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. She's awesome. I love Makoto.
But what's bad is overall my twin's favorite is Uranus, but when it comes to Inner Scouts, hers is Mercury. So when you're shipping Mercury and Jupiter, a little bit of me is like, ooh.
That's perfect.
I was just taking a drink when you said it. So that was going to be my follow-up question, was where do you stand on the Miracle Romance?
I still laugh whenever you're talking about it. But, like, part of me is like, oh, I don't like the thought of, like, I picture you with, like, a Mercury and Jupiter dolls just, like, smashing them up against each other.
I mean, look, I'm not going to say I haven't done that, but no, they stay on the shelf in their transformation poses. That's where they are and shall remain.
So you haven't posed them, so Mercury is falling forward and Jupiter's behind her with her hand up in front of her mouth?
Well, I'm going to now.
What are your thoughts on Tuxedo Mask and Mamoru and the real Miracle Romance for reals?
Don't care for him that much. In Crystal, he is much better because it actually feels like there's a reason why they're together, because they actually like each other. Versus in the original anime, it's like, yeah, you're just destined to be together, so you're gonna be together. It feels more like an arranged marriage than true love, a Miracle Romance.
Okay, fair enough.
I feel like it's taken me this long to put it together, probably largely because I'm not, aside from Sailor Moon, which I love, I'm not like huge into anime. But this is a question for the listenership. Tweet at Sailor Business if you'd like. Would we consider Tuxedo Mask to be tsundere? Is that an appropriate anime trope to apply to his character? Because I feel like you don't often see that with men in anime, right? Like it's usually applied to the girls. No thoughts on that? Okay, let's move on.
Well, I've never seen it applied to men. It's always been girls. And because I always see men being like, oh, she is my woman. And like posting pictures of random chicks from anime. You never see a woman doing it.
A quick update. Aiden just texted me, what would make me angry with you? And I said, throwing roses at you. And she just said, oh my God, don't do that. So looks like that is not going to happen. Before we move on, I do have a little bit of Sailor Business to take care of. That's the name of the show. Oh. This has to do with our t-shirt club, which you can find at sailorbusiness.teetoki.com. That's Teetoki. This is the monthly Sailor Business-inspired t-shirt that we're doing that you can get for $15 plus shipping and help support the show, help support the artists who like the show. I believe we're recording this before it goes up. The first shirt is gone. It is merely but a memory now, which was the Moon Pudding shirt. I believe the next shirt is going to be Kind-Hearted Girl Genius, our Sailor Mercury themed shirt, as designed by Christina Murdaugh. but
It's so
I do
good.
not know that for sure. It's really good. Like I've seen the design before, and it's awesome. So hopefully that is going to be the shirt. So check that out. You can also find a link to it on sailorbusiness.com, along with links to all the other stuff we do, like Jordan's ukulele covers of all the Sailor Moon soundtrack entries.
Well, a lot of them anyway.
You should do literally all of them.
Some of them aren't that good. Anyway, let's continue.
Yes, but I did get an email from someone who picked up a shirt and wondered when it was going to be sent out. Like I said, they're printed to order, so they ship out once a month. I think the next one is probably going to be in mid-July. So make sure if you want the awesome Sailor Mercury themed shirt to check that out before mid-July.
And it'll say on the site. It'll say on the site when it's shipping out.
Yes.
We just don't know yet off the top of our heads.
But we got an email because someone wanted to see if it was going to ship in time for a very special day. So I just wanted to say a happy anniversary to James and Lindsay, Sailor Business listeners. Lindsay was the Sasha Banks fan who got in touch with us. And again, Sasha Banks, if you're out there, get in touch. We would love to have you on the show. But happy anniversary, James and Lindsay. And Lindsay, please enjoy your various Sailor Moon themed anniversary presents.
Yay.
Yay. Miracle romance.
I was going to say that is a miracle romance.
Aww.
And the shirt will be there soon, if it's not there already, which it probably is by the time you hear this.
Fingers crossed. So, is it time for the show, or is there more?
No, it's time for the show. I'm pretty sure it is time now for the show.
Well, just before we get to the show, since this is a very relevant question, Vanessa, are you a fan of Chibi Yusa?
The original anime run, not so much. And I think part of it was the original voice actress they had for the dub.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Rainy. And it's just like my sister and I are both just But when it comes to watching later in the season, like especially once you get to S and Super S, she becomes a much better character, and in Crystal she's better. But at this point in R, no, I do not like Chibi Yusa.
Well, then we're in for some fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have a real good time with this episode. You might have noticed that the rambling preamble section of the show has been a little longer than usual, almost like we're dreading going further.
We can do this. Chris, what's the name of the episode this week?
Let's see. So this is a Rini centric episode. Is the word Rini in it?
No. What's the original name first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even think I said it at the top of the show. We're watching Sailor Moon R episode 81, The Dark Gate is Completed, The Targeted Elementary School. That is the title in Japanese.
All right. Rini's name is not in the Deke title, but let's see if you can guess what it might be.
Okay, putting on my 90s Deke producer hat. And just like easiest one, School Days with a Z.
Oh, no. I really thought you might be able to get this one. I really thought you might get this one.
Okay, give me one more shot. Like, give me a hint. Give me a hint.
It's a name. It's a title that it shares with something else.
Star Wars.
Come on.
I see now I have no idea. Now I really have no idea.
Child's Play. Child's Play.
Boo. Boo.
This episode would be better if it had Chucky in it.
I don't think so. Chucky scares me.
He scares you?
Oh yeah, I mean, Jordan, you know I don't like horror movies. Like Dracula accepted. I do not mess with horror movies.
Do you watch like serious horror movie Dracula movies?
No, I mostly watch I mean Dracula is not scary. Like I mostly watch, Hammer Dracula movies or stuff like Dracula 3000.
Yeah, well that sounds terrible.
I think you mean awesome because it's Dracula in the future.
Oh.
So I don't know what to tell you, bro. But no, not a Chucky fan.
Well,
So
Child's Play it is.
I guess before we get into this episode, do we need to? Do I need? I guess I should recap. We don't have the votes in yet on whether I need to continue with the bit, but I think I can actually. Like, there is some stuff that we need to get listeners caught up on before we go into this episode, right?
Is there really?
Yeah, I mean, Chibiusa is kind of complicated.
Yeah, but are we so you're assuming there are people listening for the first time this episode?
Every 81st episode of a Sailor Moon podcast is someone's first. Jordan Stanley said that, I think. I'm pretty sure.
It's true.
Absolutely stop listening and go back. We have so many recurring bits. You don't even know what the moon pudding is.
It's true. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Give me 5 seconds. I'll do it real quick.
Shorter than that. Come on.
Okay. I can do it in 3.
Go.
Can you put 3 on the clock?
It's already going.
Oh, okay. This show is called Sailor Moon. It's about Usagi Tsukino. She's 14 years old. She's a Cancer. Her blood type is O. Her birthday's coming up very soon, I think. It's June 30th. She will be 14 years old.
No.
Yes, that's how it works. She's 14 until the show says she's 15.
No, I'm pretty sure this year she will be 37.
That sounds right. Because
But
I think she's born in
so
78. Yeah.
Maybe 38. I'll have to double look.
Yeah, but yes, as Vanessa said, she has stopped aging and achieved perfect immortality.
That is very true.
Spoiler warning for the next 8 years of this show. Now, the thing about achieving perfect immortality is that in about 1,000 years, she's going to have a kid. That kid is also named Usagi Tsukino, and I believe is also a Cancer whose blood type is O and whose birthday is June 30th. Her name is Chibiusa, which means Little Usagi. And she has come back from the future to try and find the Silver Crystal, because in the future, Crystal Tokyo is being attacked by the Black Moon Clan, a group of evil baddies from the planet Nemesis, which has returned to our solar system. For reasons unknown, they want to conquer Tokyo. That does it, right? You got the Black Moon Clan hunting down Rini, who has traveled back to the past. There's also Sailor Scouts involved. It's a very complicated show. Please go back and listen to the earlier episodes.
I like how you went straight from Chibiusa to calling her Rini.
Yeah.
Again,
Can't help it.
Again, go listen to earlier episodes. There's only so much we can do.
I do want to say about that. I just checked. She's going to be 38. She was born in 78.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Well, if you guys are still doing the show when she turns 40, you're going to have to do a big celebration.
We will. That'll
40 Lordy, Serena's 40. It's going to be a good one.
That's a good idea. Although, again, there is some debate whether she waits 1,000 years to have a child or has a child very soon that stays 5 years old for 1,000 years.
We got a very depressing email about this.
Oh, no.
About the idea that the only people who are actually immortal in Crystal Tokyo are the people who are around now. So Chibiusa is fated to grow old and die, while her mother remains eternal and unchanging. And I was like, whoa, maybe tone that one down a little bit.
That's so sad, and also not true. But
it is a people are trying to explain why after 1,000 years, Usagi and Mamoru have one child who is 5 years old.
Well,
why did they wait 995 years?
Because this whole idea that she's 900 years old, it's like it hinges on this other idea that you can control your aging with your mind.
Well,
can you not do that, Jordan?
No. Like, it's like she's so immature that she hasn't aged from 5 to 6 yet. And it's like, no, those people who are immature, they just get older and are still immature. I mean, I'm probably one of them, so there you go.
Well, maybe
Vanessa, what were you saying?
she can only do it because when she was conceived, the silver crystal was like right on the nightstand and somehow it affected the baby in utero. Because that's actually, when my boyfriend and I were watching it, that's what he assumes, which is why she can't recognize that Sailor Moon is her mom. Spoilers. Because
wait, say that again. Explain that again.
The reason she can't notice that Sailor Moon is her mom is because it also basically what did he say? It causes, it's like radiation poisoning or something. to babies. So it made her kind of a little simple.
Oh no!
No, that's also not canon.
But you can't prove it.
Here is my question. We're getting real deep into Sailor Moon lore at this point, and raising questions the show never asked or was prepared to ask. How did she get to be 5? Like that's the thing. Like she should either be aging normally or an infant forever. Like she should not have grown up to 5 and stopped if
Well,
she
that's what I'm
is
saying. It's this idea
she's
that
truly 900 years old.
that like it's this idea that like you could just be like, nope, this is the age I am. I'm not ready to move on yet. And it's like, no, that's not a thing. I mean, I guess there is also the possibility then that does introduce the possibility that the Sailor Scouts stay looking exactly the way they look because they want to. And if they wanted to be like an elegant 40-year-old woman, they could. But they're like, nah, I'd rather be 15.
I feel like this is a conversation that we're going to need to revisit in much more depth whenever we get to
Episode 200?
no. I mean, yes, but no, whenever we get to Wicked Lady showing up.
Oh, sure.
Because that's gonna raise like that's where the whole thing goes off the rails. In what I think is the best way possible. But for now, Chibiusa is 5 years old, and that means it is time for her to go to kindergarten. So break out your watercolors, because it's time for a watercolor flashback.
Time. That's 3 seconds.
It felt a little longer that time.
What?
It felt a little longer than 3 seconds.
I don't know. Something wrong with my watch? I don't know.
Well, you just willed your watch to stop at 3 seconds.
Exactly. There you go.
So we open, as I said, with a watercolor flashback. Chibiusa is going to school. Apparently, Ikuko has gotten her all registered with the local school board, and
Or they
Chibiusa
brainwashed the school board.
or yeah, she might have just hypnotized them with an umbrella. That happens. Which okay, what's Chibiusa gonna learn at school from 1,000 years ago? Right? That is my question.
Well, I would say here's a terrible proposal. Maybe knowledge has not advanced in 1,000 years because no one ages or dies, so they just kind of all got lazy. People stopped discovering things because they were like, everything's fine.
Or she's like a vampire, bringing it back, and she is keeping up appearances by going to school to look normal, like the Cullens in Twilight. There's really no reason other than that.
The Cullens, who could easily pass for 25,
Well, in the movie.
but just continually go to high school because that's what you want to do forever, right? High school. Anyways, whatever the reason, she is going to school, which makes sense because she is a 5-year-old living in the present. I just think it's weird because if you imagine going to school in the year 1016. That is basically what's happening with her. I mean, admittedly, we know what germs are now. We have light bulbs.
But who knows what we don't know?
Yeah, who knows what we don't know?
Well, you two enjoy school. As a woman, I do not think I would be allowed, but
yeah, exactly. We would enjoy learning about humors, and you would have fun at the convent, I guess.
Or we would be put to work.
that or I'd already
Depending.
be dead from childbirth. You know.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, in all honesty, I believe Jordan and I would probably be dead instantly from all the modern health problems we have from our soft, weak city bodies.
But you leave very clean
Speaking of-
corpses, so there you go.
Speaking of illness, Rini is sick again. These people get sick all the goddamn time.
You are skipping ahead, but yes, that's true. The reason we're getting a flashback is because Rini's sick, but we get a flashback of her in school on her first day, and where she is introduced as Usagi Tsukino.
Right.
Which is hilarious because again, that is another character's name. I wish they would have introduced her as with her full name, which is Usagi Small Lady Serenity Tsukino. And despite not having another Usagi in the classroom that we know of, there is a child who immediately upon hearing her name First, Shingo's.
Yes, accurate. Yes.
He leans back, elbows straight up, and then he says, "Oh, we're gonna call you Chibiusa," which, as you most likely know already, is Japanese for little Usagi. Now, everyone seems to think this is grotesquely insulting, despite the fact that this is her name and what she is called by everyone else in her life.
Right. What are they even calling her little based on? They're all children.
She is not appreciably smaller than any of them.
Well,
that is true.
And they don't know that she has a big version of herself.
When her friend Momo comes to visit and she like runs to hug her, they're the same height.
Yeah.
I just don't know why it would be. Because then, okay, so this other girl in class, Momo, rolls up a magazine and bops this guy on the head, puts an end to his shingoing. Toot de sweet.
Teacher does not say a word.
Teacher is checked out. But then he immediately says, "Okay, look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make fun of you, but can we still call you Chibiusa?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's fine. That's what everyone calls me." So what about this was insulting? I guess he said it in an insulting tone.
Right.
But I don't know what, like, if I was like Jordan, I guess I'm gonna call you Lil Jordy. Or whatever. Like, that's,
Yeah,
I mean, I would
want
never
that.
do that. That's terrible.
Yeah, no, you cannot do that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lil Jordy.
No.
That's next
No.
week. That's next week. But, like, it's not inherently insulting, right?
But they're very particular about their names over there. How you can't get too familiar too quickly, and maybe that's where it comes from.
Oh, that is true.
And so it's like going straight from like I met you and I'm giving you this nickname that kind of butchers your name. It's too personal too quickly.
That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, realistically, if you immediately start calling someone little and then their name, that sounds like you're insulting them, period.
It does sound like you're insulting them. I guess my hang up is that everyone else calls her that.
Right.
But the idea of first name familiarity being such a bigger thing in Japan than it is in America, that is something I had completely forgotten about it until you said it, Vanessa.
That's the only way I could see it being an insult, really.
Yeah, and it also makes that makes a lot of sense with him then going, okay, well, I'm sorry, can we still call you by your familiar
I mean, if
nickname?
she were like fat, I could see it. Like that'd be the kind of American thing. Be like, oh, you're so big, I'm gonna call you little.
What's up,
Yeah,
Tiny?
exactly. Biggie Smalls.
What's up, Slim? So anyway, this turns out to be a memory that Chibiusa is having because she is laying in bed, sick once again.
But it's okay. The cats are looking after her.
Yeah, we're just
cat.
gonna leave the cats in charge of this sick child.
Well, who else are you going to put in charge of them? Venus?
Ikuko? That would be my guess.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
I mean, running, like, I do not want to dismiss the hard work done by any stay-at-home mothers or housewives, because running a household is very difficult. But also, that is what Ikuko does. Like, she's in charge of the house. She does not go to the office.
Fair enough.
But no, Artemis has it. Artemis got it. Artemis is on top of things.
She wakes up. Oh man, this episode. So there's so much to go through, and there's so little to go through.
This is the first of like 2 or 3 notes I actually have written down on this episode. When Chibiusa wakes up, she doesn't have her hair in her odongos. We see her with her hair down for the first time ever. Not enough hair. She does not have enough hair.
No, not to
That is
fit
not
those.
the amount of hair you would need for the massive bunny ear odongo she has, and also those jet wings that she has.
Maybe
for
she just puts them
pigtails.
up in pigtails and she has like clip-ins.
You think she has
Yeah.
extensions?
Well, no, because we actually see her hair go from up to down later in the episode. So.
Oh, we do. Yep.
Also, Chibiusa is wearing her pajamas, which are her weird Pagliacci pajamas.
Yep.
Her
And she's got
Commedia dell'arte clown.
And she's got a bunny and cat bedspread.
Yeah, not only bunny and cat, white rabbits, and the Luna P. That is what is on her extremely personalized bed sheets.
They have custom bed sheets in this household.
Yeah, look. That is a baller lifestyle that I really want to get into. I want to
Custom
have
bed sheets.
custom bed sheets that
would you
reflect
put on
my
them?
interests and name.
Yeah, what's on them?
I mean, I guess I could probably just go buy Batman bed sheets. That would take care of it.
Yeah. Unless you're like, no, it's got to be Batman and Dracula
Oh, there you go. The thing is though,
and Santa Claus.
as I have said before, nothing lower than 500 thread count touches this.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna find Batman in that.
You do not find printed Batman sheets with on Egyptian cotton.
You don't know. Maybe.
Vanessa, what would you have on your?
Honestly, I would probably want Sailor Moon bed sheets, like Jupiter in Sailor Moon drops. It's like the second wallpaper you can get. Pretty much like do that in a bed sheet.
Cool.
Jordan, what will be on your like cats and ukuleles?
I mean, sure. I mean, again, it's hard not to be like, well, I would just have Sailor Moon's sheets because I like Sailor Moon so much. But yeah, ukuleles
Are
and
there any
cats would be
visible
pretty cool.
buttholes though?
Those will be on mine, and no.
You need
No.
one. You need one, and it's
my
like,
cats.
you know, the Waldo of your bed sheet. You have to find it.
Where's the cat butthole?
It's on the back of the cat,
Oh,
generally speaking.
Well, not all of us
So
went
all
to
the scouts
college.
show up to. So all the scouts show up to bring Chibiusa a get well soon present, and with them they have brought her school chum who is coming to visit, Momo.
It's not just any friend,
now
though.
let's-
It's
can we
her
talk about-
cute friend. They specifically say cute
Her
friend.
cute friend.
My question is, what if she wasn't cute? Would they have just said, "Your friend's here," if you want to call her that?
So I want to talk about Momo for a little bit.
her name means peaches.
Yes. Her full name is actually Momoko Momohara. She has a very distinct style of dress. She has a very, I think, is meant to be a kind of stereotypically Chinese outfit. She's got the kind of, you know, Chun-Li bun in her hair under the little thing, which again, you can tell my familiarity with other cultures and exactly where it comes from because the Chun-Li bun is the only way I can describe that. And apparently she is a little more prominent in the manga, but she lives below a Chinese restaurant owned by her parents and has a fondness for gardening. And yes, as Jordan said, her name means Peach Child. Well, the first character in her last name means Peach, and the second character means original. So she is the original Peaches, is Momo. As a solid Flophouse / League of Their Own joke for this Sailor Moon podcast.
I think in the Deke dub, her name is Melissa. I think it's Melissa.
And
That was
does anyone else find it a little funny that she's Momo and then the nickname for Mamoru is Mamo? It just seems a little too close. You think they'd want to make it a little different?
Actually, what's funny about that is between this and the next episode, you're right. Then she's constantly either yelling for Mamo, Momo, or Mama.
Spoiler warning, but I just found out this is not Momo's last appearance. She is going to be back in S.
She has purple
So-
hair in that
nice.
episode.
So for now, though, she is Chibiusa's school friend who sits and talks to Chibiusa about how much fun they had at school. And she is the reason that Chibiusa is so eager to go back to school after she gets better from whatever mysterious Black Moon Clan plague she has contracted this week.
No, probably just regular sick.
Probably, but one never can
Let's face
tell.
it, if it were Black Moon Clan, the cats putting cold compresses on her would not fix it. I think she'd need a little something more than that.
I mean, look, you would think that, but competency has never really been the Black Moon Clan's calling card. Except in this episode, where Esmeralda finally figures it out. The thing that we've been saying for a month now.
Yes, you're right. So, first of all, let me just say, for an episode we have nothing to say about, we've spent so long time on like 1 minute of it. But part two. So the end of this scene, like they're all going like, yeah, it's so nice that she's happy. It's so nice that she's happy. And then Amy goes, I wonder why the enemy is after Chibiusa. And everybody is like, I don't know, embarrassed or flummoxed or something. Like, I don't know what that reaction is supposed to be. Are they like, oh, we've never even thought to ask that question before? Or I don't know. I don't know why they are all freaked out.
I think what it is that everybody's sitting around going, isn't it cool that Chibiusa has a friend? Like, yeah, it's awesome. She's, she's doing so well in school. Like this other girl really likes her. And then Amy's like, yeah, somebody's trying to murder her though. Somebody's trying to kill her constantly.
So it could be like, she should be like, yeah, it is nice for her. Of course, aren't we endangering the whole school by sending her there? Really?
Well, and they're discussing this while sitting in the room, just watching her talk to her friend.
Yep.
With cats. With talking cats.
Did the cats say anything?
I feel like they did when the scouts came in. I feel like there is a scene in this episode where they speak in front of people, which, like nobody cares anymore about the talking cats. No one cares. If I lived in Juban, I wouldn't care either.
Well, actually, that begs the question. Can people actually hear them? Because Mamoru mentioned, like, did that cat just talk? But we know he's not a normal person. Maybe average people can't hear them.
That is a good thought. But then why? But then there have been scenes where they're like out in public and the cats meow. Like the cats are like meow meow. Like really really play it up since they're out in public.
Yeah. That is true.
For
that is
comedic timing, probably.
Now we get to the Dark Kingdom's plan, or at least the beginnings of it. The Dark Henge this time is gold instead of green, which signifies something.
I don't know. The only reason I can think of is that this Dark Henge is doing a lot better than the others, so maybe it turns gold.
And there are two of them, so I don't know. So in the park, a henge, bam, there it is. A guy grows out of rocks. So apparently these droids are rock people, even though that will never come up again.
Yeah. And one of the few, at least male-coded monsters that we've had in a while. Like, I can't remember the last time that we've had any, Yoma, Cardian, or droid that was coded male since Gigi, Like,
it's been a while.
It's been a long time. But I think the problem is there's no design to them. They're just dudes in tank tops.
There's a design if you basically want to do a slightly redone Kunzite.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Casual Kunzite.
Yeah, I can see these guys as casual Kunzite. They're in tank tops and pajamas. They look like they're about the beach on a Friday afternoon. Very, very disappointing design, to be honest with you.
So then we pull back and we see waves of dark energy rippling through the park.
Which we know is visible now. Which we know you can see.
And then we pan across the city to Juban Public Elementary School, and there's also dark energy pulsing there. What's going on? Well, they have another henge there, also golden, with a very similar looking dude. Hey, is that the same dude? No.
But how can you tell?
That's right, bro. They're double hengine.
They're double hengine. Esmeralda shows up, and she's like, good job. No more roundabout plans.
Yeah. Esmeralda shows up and says, this is going to work. No more roundabout plans. That's not my style. And no, Esmeralda, roundabout plans are 100% your style. It's the only thing you've been doing. Like, your style as it currently exists is a green mini dress and roundabout plans.
Well, she's moving away from the Jedi school and going directly for, I'm just building the energy. I mean, again, it's because we don't know what energy means, what has to be done to generate energy. Like, the whole thing is nonsense. If you can just put a thing up and go, just go, doesn't have to bother anyone. I mean, we're going to see in a moment that stuff happens at the school, but as far as I can tell, nothing happens at the park.
Yeah, nothing happens at the park, and nothing happens at the school until after this extremely powerful Dark Henge is more or less, like, I mean, it's the name of the episode. The Dark Gate is completed. Like,
no, there's a question mark there, though.
Oh, I guess there is. But still, there's not like a droid teaching class, right? Like,
no, but
there's not an evil teacher being like, and now you must kill each other.
But as soon as they show up, they're affected.
Yeah, like,
so I guess nobody went to the park that day.
Yeah.
So we find out, yes, then all of a sudden they show us, look, there's two of them. They are similarly colored and otherwise identical, but not quite the same colors. Their names are Shiral and Arshiral. or in the Deke dub, Doom and Gloom.
Wait a second.
Yep.
Did we previously have the Doom and Gloom girls?
Yes. This is their younger brothers, I guess. And not only that, they recycle the same jokes, not from that one, but at least like 2 to 3 times in this episode of the Deke episode, they use the joke of Tweedledoom and Tweedlegloom, which is dumb. All right.
Yeesh. Like, not to get ahead of myself, not a good episode.
Nope.
Okay, so the next day, much like her mother, spoiler warning, Chibiusa is running late for school, and it's actually a good thing that she arrives so late, in the company of both a talking cat and a floating robot that looks exactly like the talking cat's head.
That no one ever notices.
She turns the corner at her school, and it is fucking Mad Max times. There are children punching each other in the face. The windows of the school have all been shattered. There is a full-on riot going on.
Every window.
Yes.
Everyone. And then like in the hallways, every window.
Yeah. So Chibi turns the corner, sees that there are like blood sport fights going on, that all the windows are broken. What does she say, Jordan?
Chibiusa says, everybody's playing even though first period started.
That's her thought. Like, wow, it's weird that everybody's still out here in the playground having fun.
Yep.
What kind of school is this?
And then Luna has to tell her, they're not playing, they're fighting.
Yeah, which only makes sense if this is the first time Chibiusa has ever seen a fight, which we know is not true.
So then she spots Momo, who has been cornered by a bigger kid.
A monster child.
I mean, it's an elementary school, so he's probably like a 4th or a 5th grader or something. And then Momo kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I don't even know what she does. Like crazy moves where her leg is like up over her head and smashing him in the head.
Because she's a mini Chun-Li.
Okay, well, there you
We've
go.
established that.
Yep.
Finish him.
Yep. Right. Then they show us that she's evil by having her eyes turn red. You know, the color of Chibiusa's eyes all the time.
The exact color of Chibiusa's eyes. Momo says that
by the way, I'm sorry. Back when in the Deke dub, when Luna sees the fighting, she goes, I wouldn't call this playing. This is a slugfest.
So Momo sweeps Chibiusa's legs, tells her she hates her, and then runs off.
A bunch of this episode sucks and is boring. So I think the Deke people were like, we gotta turn it up. We gotta add some weird dialogue. When Momo beats the little boy, she says, "Eat asphalt, dweeb," which I thought was pretty awesome. Oh no, she says that to Chibi. When she sweeps the leg, she says,
"Why does she sweep her leg and then just like run away? Shouldn't she have just kept beating on her?"
You'd think. Yeah, that's what this show needs, is Chibiusa getting pummeled in the face for 5 minutes.
Well, look, the thing that I have previously said about G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, is that movie is not good, but I can never hate that movie because it does have like a 10-minute scene of 2 9-year-olds just beating the shit out of each other.
Oh, man.
That's not something you see in a lot of movies. Luna's like, oh, yeah, there's some dark energy here. And Artemis is like, yeah, dark energy. And Luna, in probably the best animated sequence of the show, which it's been a while since we've really specifically called out the animation, but as kind of boring as this episode is, even though we're talking about it for so long, the animation in this episode is really, really great. I think, aside from the designs of the monsters, the actual animation is really awesome. When Artemis says, oh yeah, that's dark energy, all right, Luna turns around and is so surprised that her eyes not only get as big as dinner plates, but her crescent moon pops off her head, which I think is a great little visual touch.
Again, when she sees the dark energy, before Artemis says anything, Deke dub, she says, caterwauling catfish. What is that?
Do it in the accent, Jordan.
Caterwauling catfish, what is that? And then Artemis goes, it's dark energy.
Oh my god, you nailed Artemis. Because the one line Artemis
you.
says, it's the first time the first episode they're like really dealing with Venus, and he shows up and he's like, "Hey, pretty ladies," and the way he says it's like the funniest thing. And that's what my sister and I will just randomly do. Is just like, "Hey, pretty ladies."
Oh, Artemis, you're the worst.
So Chibi goes into the school running after Momo, finds that it is basically a level from Fallout 4. Broken glass and overturned desk and like just shit torn off the walls.
Well, and again, I'll tell you, every single window and door is broken except for the room that she hides in.
Yeah. And at no point does Chibiusa go, I should really go home.
No.
Like, at what point do you just give up on school that day? So she goes into a darkened classroom and she is attacked again by Momo, who is now wielding a mop. And there is also a teacher with a T-square holding it like an axe. So there is now a mob of teachers and students trying to bludgeon Chibiusa to death.
So she hides in the biology room, which is an elementary school science classroom with a full anatomy dummy.
Yeah, you know what kids like is visible musculature and skeletons. There's two of them. There's just a one with no skin and one that's a skeleton.
Yeah, for the third graders, right?
Yeah.
That's the grade you learn what insides look like.
That's the one where you learn about what happens if you have.
It could
no
be
skin.
like my elementary school,
And then
until they finally divided up, because I went to a small school district where it was they had, I think it was like 3rd through 8th grade in the same school for a while.
But we know that's not true
yeah.
because she goes.
I always forget she's in middle school.
Yeah, Usagi goes to Juban Middle or Crossroads Junior High in the American version.
So then they pull this joke, which they are going to pull twice, but this is the first time, where the anatomy dummy appears to move and someone freaks out, and then really it was just the cats hiding behind it, moving it for half a second.
Chibi hides in the biology lab, avoids Momo. And again, I feel like there would have been a way to do this that would have had a little more tension. But instead it's just like Momo sticks her head in the room. She's like, not in here, and leaves. Artemis runs over to Juban Middle and gets the 3 students who go there, Sailors,
who transform
Moon, Mercury, and
outside
Jupiter.
of their school in the middle of the day. Why not?
Just right outside, in front of some windows.
Oh my
Is
god.
that Serena?
You already knew, Molly.
Molly already knows at this point. I think we've established that. My question is, why, like who went to get Ray and Minako? Who went to whatever school it is that Minako goes to, and the TA Academy to get those two?
Nobody. Because nobody went to get them. They have had a parallel adventure where somehow they've both ended up in the park. Because they're the ones who call the other scouts and say, something's going on in the park.
Oh, I forgot that.
And then the scouts do this incredibly logical thing where they go, well, there's 2 crises going on with dark magic or dark kingdom. Let's split up. 4 of us will go to this one. And you go by yourself.
I think it's just because Mercury and Jupiter wanted some time by themselves, racing to the park. So,
they don't have. That's
'cause if you
unprofessional
notice,
of them. If that's the case,
the bad guy over at the
they
park,
have a job to do.
they show up like right when the action's done because they were, spending some time together behind a bush or something. They were studying for math. If you thought I was talking about something else, that's on you.
Math studying is
Look, even I didn't pick up on that one.
Well, because it only even comes up at all when you think about the fact that they're literally going, there's already 2 scouts over there. We're going to send 2 more. Usagi, you go handle an entire school full of rioting children.
And they
That'll
didn't even
probably be
show
fine.
anything
Way
happening at the
easier to
park
handle.
other than the bad guy
then
being there. It wasn't like there was mass chaos with people.
No. As far as we can tell, nothing. We see nothing happening at the park other than that there's a henge and it's big and, like you said, the bad guy's there. So then we cut to Usagi showing up at the school going, that's a giant henge. I don't know how I'm going to handle this.
Well, no, we cut to Usagi going to the school, and the second she steps onto the sidewalk outside the school, a desk comes crashing through the last remaining unbroken window.
Yes, that's
Full
true too.
class of 1984.
So then back to the park where they're fighting the bad guy. They're love me chaining. They're burning mandolin. No, sorry, that's not what I meant. It's not working. The bad guy is fine. All of a sudden, Shine Aqua Illusion. You can tell because she's got her arms in this very particular position. If she fires that, guess what? Does nothing. Jupiter is there too. She doesn't do anything either. And then he's like, oh, cool. You're all here trying to stop this henge. I'm just going to leave. Bye. What? It's just so weird. He literally says, I'm going to go to the elementary school.
Yeah, he says, hey, we'll have the showdown at this exact place. RSVP.
By the way, when you get there, we're going to send you to hell. So, get ready.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself to go to hell because that's the plan. Cool. Bye. And then he teleports away. Why is this happening? What is this? It makes no sense. I don't know what is going on.
Yeah. So this episode's a mess.
Well, because once they get there, though, they box them in and are like hurting them. So maybe the goal is because once the twins are together, they can.
So then just be together. Why are you setting up two things?
Yeah, the whole thing where there's two henges is so completely unnecessary to the plot. Like you don't lose anything if you completely remove the henge from the middle school or from the park. I mean, because you could even have the scene where like, hey, this school is really big. We got to split up and find Chibiusa, and you still get to have the scene where Usagi goes into the lab on her own.
Yeah, the two, especially considering that the two henges blow each other up. Like when they beat one, it beats the other one. Yeah. It's not like they blow up the park one first and then go, now let's go get the school one. The park one blows up when the school one blows up.
Yeah.
Which also makes no sense because actually now that I think about that, it seems like they should have just gone, no, we're not going to follow that guy. Blow up that henge. And then they blow up the henge and then they win. Both henges would blow up. I don't know.
So Usagi goes into the biology lab looking for Chibiusa, and again, they do the same gag again with the skeleton. That it turns out Chibiusa was behind, just pushing in her blind desire to hug her mom. Spoiler warning. Do we still not know that?
The audience does, but the characters don't.
Okay. But then it turns out to be a double fake out because the monster just appears with dust coming off his fingers for some reason. I have no idea what that's about.
I mean, it makes sense that he appears. Sailor Moon screams when a skeleton tries to hug her.
Yes. And so then this monster, the one who looks like Casual Kunzite, goes to literally punch Usagi in the face, and she ducks and freaks out, and her Odongos and ponytails remain in the air where they were, which again, if this episode has to be this bad, I'm so glad it has all these fun little animation touches because they're really cute. Also really cute is that when Usagi runs out, she has Chibiusa by the hand and she is pulling her through midair.
She tries to do her speech, but the monster cuts her off and stops her mid-speech, so she can't do her "I'll punish you" speech. And then when you cut back to her after the monster cuts her off, you've realized that she was doing her speech sitting on the floor.
Yes.
She was going to be doing, she was just waving her arms around, but she was sitting in the middle of the hallway floor.
Yeah, which is adorable. So Casual Kunzite and Player 2 Casual Kunzite appear in the hallway. Doom and gloom. They attack, and then Momo shows up, and she has a choke grip on that broom. I think I said it was a mop earlier. I think it's a push broom, but she is ready to swing for the fences on Chibiusa, and so that's how the episode ends. Just a child beats Chibiusa and Usagi to death with a broom. Really weird.
No, unfortunately. Well, no, because I don't want Usagi to die. Unfortunately, someone comes and does bubble spray.
The most devastating attack.
It makes them pause momentarily.
It certainly does do that. Can I tell you, Jupiter says something, I forget what, probably like, you're all a bunch of creeps or something. But then Mercury says a line in the Deke dub, which I was like, why did she say that? She says to Doom and Gloom, "You may be stronger than us, but we've got love on our side."
That's That's not as bad as a much weirder one that we're going to get in the next episode. That's a very similar line. So keep that in mind for the next week. So
and it's not because she just spoke after Jupiter, because the Deke people certainly weren't thinking that.
it's everywhere, dude.
The Deke people are definitely not shipping any of the scouts.
You say that very
Including the ones
authoritatively,
canonically
but have
shipped.
you spoken to anyone at Deke about it? I don't think you have, because I think I would know about it if you had.
There are canonical, actual, textual, confirmed relationships between scouts, and the Deke dub takes them out.
Yeah, but like they leave the
that's the
subtle
clever
ones
way.
in. They leave the subtle ones in.
I mean,
Okay,
if,
okay.
if it were concrete, they would have made them cousins.
So-
but since they didn't,
Exactly.
So there's a lot of lightning that gets thrown around. Eventually, like Momo, like really tries to take Chibiusa's head off, but then for some reason, just kind of at random, right? Did I miss something? Like the power of friendship prevails, and then Momo saves Chibiusa from getting lightninged.
Let me see. Yeah, no, it's because someone else is going to kill her. Yeah, it's no reason. Oh, also, I do want to mention that when he shoots lightning when the monster shoots lightning at them, I forget at which one he's shooting at. He yells out "drop dead," which I was like, I want that to be his move, but it's not. Like that's not. He's not using his drop dead move because it's Jupiter, and Jupiter does not drop dead. I've got news. She just gets painfully zapped.
Yeah. So then we get a weird kaleidoscope flash of all the stuff that's happened to Crystal Tokyo, including a very, very clear view of a winged prom-dressed Usagi
No,
Tsukino.
I'm sorry. I'm a little bit behind you, and clearly in my rewatch, you forgot about Rabbit, the whole Rabbit thing. We find out that Chibi has she heals Momo with her magic.
With her moonbeams.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has kind of a flip out. I did kind of miss that. I thought she was just flipping out for no reason. But yes, the moonbeams
that's
heal
why
Momo. Momo shoves Chibiusa out of the way of some lightning. We get a kaleidoscopic flashback / flash forward. It's time travel. Relative
Flashback to the future.
Yes. The absolute future, the relative past. Where we see Usagi as Neo Queen Serenity with
I
her
wish I
wings and
had
her
that as my
dress.
prom dress.
Yeah. Can I tell you? It looks like she's pushing Chibiusa out of the way of a nuclear blast.
Yeah, what? There's a lot of nuclear blast imagery in anime in general. But yes, Neo Crystal Tokyo is about to EXPLODE in this flashback.
And if you get pushed aside by another
Well,
person,
she
you're
has the
saved somehow.
You're fine.
after that flashback, she has the crescent appear on her head, and she's going like crazy. And what's funny is because of the shadows it creates on her eyes, it looks like she is really like she's a little kid that got into her mom's makeup and put horrible blue eyeshadow over top of her eyes.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I do like that it is a weird acknowledgement that in an anime the eyes are so big that they would have shadows cast on them from her brows. But yeah, Chibi goes Super Saiyan for a little bit, just explodes in a flash of light.
So it's so powerful that 1,000 years in the future, people notice it.
Yeah.
Like they turn around, going, "What? What was that?
What was that 1,000 years ago?
So yeah, she goes like super powered, blasting energy everywhere. What does it do? Nothing.
And exhausts
really.
her.
Like it just kicks the bad guys out of the room. Yeah, that's all it does.
I mean,
And make people in the future notice it.
It's so powerful that it travels through time and also takes her hair out
maybe
of her
it healed everyone in the
adongos,
school.
which
We
again,
just can't
not
say
enough
it.
hair.
I mean, they don't acknowledge it, so maybe. But yes, in the future, Prince Diamond is going, "What was that? That was a power we never heard of before."
Yeah, that was a thing that happened 1,000 years ago that we've never heard of.
Yes, which makes no sense. Time travel not working in the show. And then
no sense with this.
so then Wise Man is like, "Yeah, she's like way more powerful than we
maybe I should
thought she
kidnap
is.
her and age her and twist
Let's
her.
not kill her."
Just a thought, just spitballing here.
Maybe.
Now, all this time, presumably, Mamoru Chiba has been just looking around at this elementary school being like, what's the most ridiculous thing I could stand on? Should I stand on the top of the slide? No, I think I've done that one before. Maybe I could, like, ride the swings and kind of, like, jump off the swings and float. Oh, no. Here we go. Merry-go-round.
Like a weird merry-go-round.
Yeah,
Not
look
even a
at it.
normal.
I don't even know if
Shaped
kids could get
merry-go-round.
into it.
Right.
So
do you-
is the whole point you just run around holding it?
No, I think you can get into it.
I
I'm
think
into
you might
it.
just hold on to the outside, and it's a interesting test of centrifugal force for children.
No, I think you can get into it. The holes don't look that big, but until
But
you
we
actually
established
compare them
he's
to
only,
the
what,
size
5'9"?
of Minoru.
Not according to the wiki.
I think he's 6 feet tall. Because he's like
You
a
guys looked it
full
up a
foot
few
taller.
episodes ago. I remember that.
Hang on.
you
Let me
had the same question?
open up the RPG book. I thought he was a full foot taller.
No, Chris, he's
Then-
the same height as you. And I said, not if you include his hat.
Oh, that's true.
That's how I remember it going. I might be wrong.
But yeah, he's just slowly rotating on top of this Thunderdome merry-go-round, which I believe was probably built by the children to have their battles to the death. Now
Two
that
go in, one come
anarchy
out.
has descended upon Juban Public Elementary School. Exactly. Two kids enter, one kid leave.
Well, he does give the helpful advice that Sailor Moon teach these villains the ABCs
Now, do you
of
think
justice.
he has like a bunch of these cheesy one-liners and like speeches, kind of like the Sailor Moon says at the end, where he just has a bunch prepared, and he's like, "Okay, what is this? Is this a situation where I could use this? No, not quite right. Veterinary school. This is an elementary school, so I need to change it up a little bit." And then he's like, "This is the one. ABCs. Yeah."
Yep.
Okay. According to the Guardians of Order Sailor Moon role-playing and resource book, Darian Shields, a.k.a. Mamoru Chiba, a.k.a. Tuxedo Mask, a.k.a. Moonlight Knight, a.k.a. Prince Endymion, stands at 6'2", which means he is
Oh my
15
God.
inches taller than Usagi.
That's believable. Something unusual happens now. Something that I don't remember ever seeing happen before. Sailor Moon starts doing her final move, and while she's doing her build-up sequence, the bad guys go, "We're gonna leave."
Yeah, again, instead of developing gimmicks, these two guys just put on tank tops and were like, okay, let's figure out how not to die.
So they try to like phase down into the ground, and they're about to leave when Jupiter thunders the ground, which, by the way, causes a ton more damage to this school that is going to have to get fixed. But she thunders the ground and like cracks open the ground, and they get zapped, and that stops them long enough for Sailor Moon to murder them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool effect, but yeah, Juban Public Elementary is a wash. Juban Public Elementary is condemned now. Every window is broken. The ground has been torn up by lightning. Kid
I'm
blood
gonna say, as a
everywhere from this
twin, I
massive
was just
fist
very
fight that's
happy
been going
that
on for half an hour.
they died together instead of apart. That really touched me.
Oh,
No,
there
it
you go.
just
I
got
didn't even think about
assigned
that.
to me,
Yeah,
which I was like,
this is-
oh, it's perfect.
Did you choose this episode because of twins? No.
Yeah, and then I'm like, ugh.
Until you then watched it and went, oh. So then Esmeralda shows up just to be like, God damn it. And she gets real mad. She's not doing her fake it to make it that she normally does. She snaps her fan in half in anger. And somehow when you snap your fan in half, it becomes like a bomb that you can throw. Except then Prince Diamond calls her direct from 1,000 years in the future.
And
says,
does she have an earpiece?
Stop doing
Because she
that.
holds her hand up to her ear like, oh,
Come home.
gotta get the
Apparently,
right
yes,
reception
she's
here.
Bluetoothing.
Hang on, I'm getting a call.
Bluetooth to the future.
She's got her Black Moon Bluetooth going.
Blacktooth.
Can we pinpoint the exact moment where the show stopped making any sense?
I mean, it's around the Rini part, right? Although, no,
It's
Alan
got-
and
like,
Andy
it's
make it
got to be when the Black Moon Clan shows up.
I don't know. It might have been at the point where they said, let's have them forget everything and then re-remember everything slowly for no reason.
Yeah, it's probably so. So the next day, they are visiting Momo in the hospital, where she has suffered a head injury from being zapped by black lightning. So if you ever get struck by evil lightning,
Wait, Chris, get this joke. Now, Chibi's visiting her in bed.
it's, in the words of George Lucas, it's like poetry. It rhymes.
For some reason, the two children think that's quite funny.
Well,
and that's
They
it, right?
established
Is that the
that-
episode? Do we need to continue?
like, hey, I'm from the future and we
we
got to
do.
go there to save my mom because I had a flashback while I was triggered at the school. So we got to do this. And then there's a random sign saying hi posse. Yeah, which is like looking out on the, I don't know, they must be at the top of the hospital.
What?
And
I
there's
didn't
this,
see that.
again, it's just like,
Oh, it
okay,
does say
random
that.
English. Yeah, we'll go with it.
So yeah, she goes, I got to get to the future. They go, how are you going to do that? She's like, I've got a key that takes me to the future. I haven't been able to use it yet, but I'm going to try again. For no reason this time it'll work. Come with me. And they go, all right.
Yeah, all right. Are we getting closer to the end of the season? Yeah, let's do this.
Give it a go. The end. Right?
For an episode where I literally have 2 notes,
Wow. I had more than that.
one of which is just that is clearly not enough hair. We sure did talk about this one.
I had my last 2 notes were bad episode and then Reenie Sodes suck.
So I feel like we learned a lot. Now, again, we are in the era of recycled Sailor Moon says, but there have been episodes before where children have fought. There was the one about the kids who. Do you remember the one I'm talking about? The one with the kids. Like there was the one where Venus got her new power for a minute.
Oh,
that had
yeah.
The kids in it with Alan and
Wheels on the
Em.
Bus episode? The Wheels on the Bus episode?
Yeah, that one. But there was another one too, right? With I guess it was the one with Shingo's friend who loved Sailor Moon. Like there was some kids fighting in that. Do we get any of those in our Sailor Moon says, or is it just completely random this week?
Completely random.
All right, let's hear it.
If people start thinking you're a flake, you get treated like a flake. I speak from personal experience.
You just don't know if she's gonna be there for you. She's never on time for anything.
She never takes anything seriously.
We just can't count on her.
You lose more than your friends' respect when you're unreliable. You miss out on all sorts of opportunities because people don't believe you'll come through for them. So don't be a flake. Flakes miss out on all sorts of stuff.
Oh, do practice what you preach, Serena.
I remember this one.
What was it from? I don't remember what it was from.
I don't remember what it was from, but I remember how angry we were about it.
You just can't count on her.
How dare you? Yeah, you kill the monster next time, then, you assholes.
Why would they choose this one?
I have no idea. Like, because nobody is a flake in this episode at all. Nobody flakes out at all in this episode. So obviously it falls to us to improve it. It's time for Sailor Business Says, where we talk about what we learned. Vanessa, we will start with you. What did you learn from this episode?
I learned when the heroine is doing their 20-second long attack maneuver, you should try to get the hell out of there.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Don't just stick around to be killed.
So that's a good one. Drop into the ground if you can.
Yes.
But weirdly enough, all of these monsters seem to have the ability to teleport, and none of them ever do it.
That's also a good point. Very good point.
Jordan, what did you learn?
I don't know.
It's a bit on the show that we've been doing for 80 episodes.
I
You gotta
know.
put some-
I learned that Reenie episodes suck. No, that's not it. Well, I learned the true damages that happen if an entire school worth of children go crazy, and it's pretty bad. I would not want to. Well, I was going to say I would not want to be a teacher in that school, but I guess the teachers went crazy too, and they probably had the advantage over the kids and probably just beat the crap out of those kids. I wonder why they didn't show those scenes. Actually, now that you mention it.
I think I know why. I think I know why they didn't show them.
I don't get it. I don't understand. Chris, what did you learn?
I learned that if you are a kid and you go to school and all you see is a massive fist fight going on in the playground and all the windows broken and stuff just flying through the walls, just still try and get to first period. Just still see if you can get into homeroom.
Yeah.
Don't just turn around and go home.
Oh, I just realized something.
Okay.
Yeah, wait a minute. Why doesn't any of this stuff affect them? Is it because they're Sailor Scouts? Because what we said, oh, well, she shows up late, and that's why she... But that doesn't make any sense, because would that mean like everybody showed up and everybody was fine, and then they did something that made everyone turn crazy?
Yeah, it was. Look, it's got to be right at 8 a.m. right when the bell goes off is when.
Oh,
when
it's
they
the
hit
bell
peak
that
dark
does
energy.
it. It's the bell that makes you crazy.
Yeah, this episode does not make any sense. Nothing about this episode makes sense.
No.
None of the characters' actions make any sense. The time travel stuff is way off the map in this one, and it's like for this to be the episode where they're like, okay, this is the breaking point. It's time to go into the future. It's such a weird Monster of the Week nonsense episode. Like they recycle the same gag. The villains are just literally long-haired dudes in tank tops. It's a pretty big low point, I think.
Yeah.
Vanessa, what are your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, overall, it's pretty bad. The nice thing is that I think overall it's one of the last fillers for the season. I think most of the ones from here on out actually have a bit of plot to it. So unfortunately, it was just, I have the feeling that they were all just like, ugh, okay, what idea do you have? And they just kind of threw everything, like, twins, okay, yeah, that'll work.
I mean, here's the thing, though. You say filler, and I don't always like the term filler because some of the filler episodes are amazing. It's filler. It's a filler episode because it's not like moving the overall plot forward. But this one is especially bad because it also just has nothing going for it that is fun and cute. There's plenty of filler episodes that are like, let's focus on that character and then like give them some depth or something funny or something cool that happens. And this is just like garbage. My real question is, what's worse, this one or the one where they went into Rini's dream? And I'm like, I don't know.
No, you know what's worse? The Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, God. Rini's Spotlight episodes are not the best. They really are the worst.
Actually, that's the issue, is that at this point, she's not a likable enough character to want to have Spotlight episodes on her.
But I feel like this episode is an attempt to kind of change that. Like, all of Rini's annoying traits are gone in this episode. Like, she's not whiny, she's not mean to anybody, she has a friend who she cares about.
But there's nothing to replace them.
Yeah, but there's like she's just bred.
The closest that you've got to replacing them is her being late for school in oh, look, she's just like Usagi way. But then she's not just like Usagi for the rest of the episode. She doesn't do anything funny. She doesn't do anything charming. I mean, again, like, out of all the Rini focused episodes, I'm trying to think if there are any like that I've like enjoyed so far. And I think the ones I have enjoyed most are the ones where she is annoying because that is a personality.
The better version of this episode is Die Hard with Momo. Is a 5-year-old kung fu girl fighting her way out of an elementary school that has gone completely bananas on her. Not a favorite. And I hate it when we're so negative on these episodes.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
But fun to talk about, very, very skippable to watch. There's not even any good Esmeralda stuff in this one.
No.
Which, considering we had that episode where Esmeralda was in a bath for 2 days, like 2 straight days of bathing, it's a real letdown, because we're kind of coming to the end of the Hilly Esmeralda era, and I don't want to see her go out like this. I want more fun stuff.
And I love her. I love the woman that did her voice in the original Deke dub, because she did, I think, Zoisite, Esmeralda, and I can't remember her name. It's like Cowlin or Cowlinite or something in the 3rd season.
Okay.
And she was amazing.